Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mali News. Today is the 20th January 2018 and the 57th anniversary of the Malian Army. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, sent a message to the nation. Report with Mohamed Golfa.
Dear compatriot, our country is preparing to celebrate tomorrow, January 20, 2018, in communion, the 57th anniversary of the creation of our national army, the one that protects us. I would like to take the opportunity offered by the celebration of the feast of January 20 to bow to the memory of all the civilians and military victims, national and foreign, of the tragedies that have plunged the Malian nation, especially since the beginning of the crisis. I piously greet the memory of your comrade falling on the field of honor on a mission ordered. They served the homeland until the ultimate sacrifice. Their example is and will remain forever a light that will always accompany us. I share the grief of the bereaved families, and I reiterate to them all my solidarity, my compassion in painful trials that have experienced and shared with the whole nation. I also think of all the wounded in this unjust and unacceptable conflict and salute their self-denial. They now bear the mark of the fight they have fought for us and for Mali. I wish them the courage and comfort they need for their recovery. They can count on the attention of their brothers in arms and on the support of the state and all the Malian population and myself. I think finally of all those who in the theater of operation and in the daily life of their mission of protection of the territory and the citizen will celebrate the festival of the army far from their families and their friends. To each other, I would like to say that the nation to whom they have given so much will be eternally grateful to them. Dear compatriot, that is why the feast of January 2018 has a particular stamp, that of the reaffirmation of the political will of the state to put armed forces and security in line with the demands of the time and the political, economic, and security imperatives of our country. This political will is translated by great changes in our armed forces and security equipment of the troops and their moral rearmament, reorganization of the chain of command, conditioning and operational preparation of the troops, reinforcement of the troops, improvement of the conditions of life and work of the military and their families. These changes aim to modernize our defense tool to create the best conditions for its full development and the continuous strengthening of its capabilities, to reinforce the cohesion and discipline within the armed and security forces. We are delighted by the sacrifice made by the people and the multifarious support of the state for our defense and security forces, which have indisputably enabled the national armed forces to work to improve their performance and revitalize their security image to the people. The significant and quality result obtained in terms of answers to the requirement of a professional and Republican army are essential indication of the progress recorded in the reconciliation of our people with their army. General officers, chiefs of staff, and directors of senior officers, NCOs of rank, dear compatriot. One of the key challenges we face together in the coming year is unquestionably the organization of free, credible, transparent, peaceful, and friendly general election. Our mission will be essential, more difficult, and more demanding because it will be for us to create the best condition for the organization of these elections throughout the national territory with the participation of all Malians. I would, therefore, like to urge you to commit yourself to this vast project of national recovery. In reiterating to everyone my best wishes for this new year, 2018, I wish you to spend an excellent holiday of our national army. Long live the Malian Armed Forces, long live the Republic, long live Mali, may Allah bless Mali, Amen.
The President of Republic, His Excellency Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, was visiting in Ouagadougou, where he took part to the Conference of Governance, Democracy and Business. The theme of 2 days forum focused on the strengthening the voice of business to support democracy and governance, with 300 participants exchanging experiences around the theme, reports. The President of Republic arrived last week in Ouagadougou. Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta took part in the Conference of Governance, Democracy and Business. Upon his descent from the plane, as he was greeted by his rock counterpart, Marc-Christian Carbore. After the national anthem of the two countries, the President of Republic greeted a detachment of the Burkinabe army. Also present at the reception were several members of government, ambassadors, and personalities of FASO. The Malian community was also strongly mobilized to welcome the head of state and his delegation. The Prime Minister Soumeylou Boubèye Maïga was visiting Algeria. He was carrying a message from the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, to Algerian counterpart Abdel Aziz Bouteflika. With the President of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria, the exchange was focused on strengthening the friendship and fraternity relations that unite the two countries, and especially for the process space in Mali.
The Prime Minister Ali Soumeylou Boubèye Maïga visited Algeria this week on his first trip abroad. Leader of the international mediation in the negotiation of the peace accord, Algeria remains a major player in the implementation of this agreement. After meeting with the Algerian President, Abdul Aziz Bouteflika, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "At the bilateral level, we have received confirmation of Algeria's constant desire to assist us in the implementation of the peace agreement." End of quote. In order to accelerate the implementation of the agreement, which seems to be stalling 2 years after its signature, Soumeylou Boubèye Maïga cherished a follow-up in the DDR process, that is, demobilization, disarmament, and reintegration, as well as the security of the whole of Mali. The 2 days visit was aimed at reaffirming the bilateral relationship between the two countries and to discuss matters of mutual benefit.
The Prime Minister Soumeylou Boubèye Maïga, the Chief of Government, visited the Islamic High Council of Mali, the Archdiocese and the headquarters of Association of Evangelical Protestant Church Groups and Mission in Mali. Part of the exchanges are the questions concerning the life of the nation. Mohamed Golfa was there for us. Report. First step of this courtesy visit, the High Islamic Council of Mali, Prime Minister Soumeylou Boubèye Maïga and Mahamoud Dicko discussed the current challenge facing Mali. The High Islamic Council has reiterated its support to the government of the establishment of the lasting peace and social cohesion. Soumeylou Boubèye Maïga then went to the home of Cardinal Janv. Again, the same questions were raised. Last stage of this visit, the headquarters of the Association of Church Group and Evangelical Protestant Mission of Mali. For the agenda, the union of all the sons of the country is essential to meet the challenges of the hour. Wherever the Prime Minister has gone, blessings have been made for Mali. The legacy of Martin Luther King was celebrated on Tuesday at the Normal High School. But who is this man? Let's discover that with Mohamed Golfa.
Martin Luther King was born on 15 January 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States of America. Originally named Michael, he was later renamed Martin. Like his father, a Baptist minister, his mother, Alberta Williams King, was a school teacher. Young Martin was destined to become an American Baptist minister, an activist who later became the most visible spokesperson and leader in the civil rights movement from 1954 through 1968. Civil rights movement is the campaign in the 1950s and 1960s to change the laws so that African Americans have the same rights as others. He is best known for his role in the advancement of civil rights using tactics of nonviolence based on his Christian beliefs and inspired by the nonviolent activism of Mahatma Gandhi. In 1964, King was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for combating racial inequality through nonviolent resistance. In 1968, King was planning a national occupation of Washington, D.C. to be called the Poor People's Campaign when he was assassinated by James R. Ray on April 4th in Memphis, Tennessee. Ray was later arrested and sentenced to 99 years in prison for King's murder. King was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the Congressional Gold Medal. Martin Luther King Jr. Day was established as a holiday in numerous cities and states beginning in 1971 and as a U.S. federal holiday in 1986.
After the biography of that man, let's see what's happening at Ian Soup with our reporter, Bakari Jara.
The legacy of Martin Luther King is celebrated every January 15th throughout the world. The U.S. Embassy in Mali, in collaboration with the direction of Normal High School and celebrated this great event last Tuesday. After a presentation of the program and the welcome of the General Director of ANSIP, the speaker, André Partey, explained the heritage of Martin Luther King before answering the question of participants.
I think that Martin Luther King said it much better than I ever could, but I would say that his vision was of an America, and I wish I had the speech in front of me to quote him right now, but his vision was of an America where his children were not judged by the color of their skin, but rather by the content of their character. And what that means is that he hoped for an America where everyone, regardless of their nationality or their gender or their racial origin, would be able to have a fair shot and to advance their lives and their interests and to protect and benefit their families.
The director of English Department of ANSIP appreciated this conference and took advantage of it to call students to learn English.
Well, Martin Luther King is a great man. His ideas changed his country, changed the hearts of the people, the laws, and life, politics, and even the economy in his country, and gave his country a better future, the one they're living today. If they were able to elect a black president, well, I would say it's partly because of the legacy of Martin Luther King.
So when Martin Luther King say no violence, what do you understand this word?
Well, violence can hardly achieve anything. And why use violence to achieve what you can achieve without violence? So it was successful, and it was probably the most suitable weapon for the time, and it did work.
Some participants of the conference have not had their impression.
So the lesson is that for the no violence, it's something like this. So we can ask our rights, so without the violence, it's something like this. So this is the case of Martin Luther King. So during his fight for the freedom for the blacks, so he did the light without using the violence.
First of all, being in the United States was one of the things that I was looking forward to, and when I was given the opportunity, I went to the USA, and I was able to visit where he had the famous speech, I have a dream, and that was like one of the biggest moments in my life, because I learned about him when I was a student at Flash and at NSIP here, and being on the spot where he had this speech was like a great moment for me. English is a gateway, to the United States, and it opens doors and to have a good job and to be working for different, famous organizations and structures like USAID and in different places. So those who are learning English, they need to be focused on the learning and continue learning, and it will surely open doors for them. I have a quote, like one of the quotes from Martin Luther King that I love very much, and it is, the time is always right to do what is right. So, and we need to keep working hard and be focused on doing what is right for humanity.
The speech of Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream, have been projected in the room. This projection has been well appreciated by all participants of this conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of Mali News, but stay with us with the English lesson with Bakari Jara. See you next weekend and bye.
I'm very happy to receive Ortm in Lycée Bilali Sissoko today. I'm the principal. This is school.
Good morning, class. Good morning, sir. How are you? Fine. Good. I'm trying to be fine. What was our last lesson about?
The last lesson was about immigration.
Immigration. Our last lesson was about immigration.
One cause of immigration is poverty.
One cause of immigration is poverty. Who can give me one negative consequence of immigration?
Death? One negative consequence of immigration is death in Sahara Desert.
Is death in Sahara Desert. Thank you. Who can give me one positive consequence of immigration?
One positive consequence of immigration is cultural diversity.
We talked about the consequences of immigration. And we also talked about the causes of immigration. So in this lesson plan, information. And at the end of the lesson, we will talk about how you can write a social letter. The situation problem here, as requested by the new teaching system, is the following. Many young Malians faced with unemployment choose to immigrate to other countries to look for a better life. Most of them go to Europe through the desert and the sea, but they don't really analyze all the dangers related to illegal immigration. And they face many problems when they arrive there, such as registration problems, accommodation problems. Some are raped and some are also abused. And they also face many economic and social problems when they come back to their countries, either voluntarily or when they are deported. So you can see that immigration, especially illegal immigration, has a lot of consequences. First, we will try to define some key terms related to immigration, which is the movement of to another country. If you leave your place to go to another country, this is immigration. And the person who does this when he arrived there will be called an immigrant. So the verb is to immigrate. Definitions of some key terms. We have immigration, of course, an immigrant, and the verb is to immigrate. And we also have immigration, immigrant, and the verb of this is to immigrate. So the idea of immigration is a movement from one country to another. So the person who does this movement is called an immigrant when he or she arrives there. And the verb, of course, is to immigrate. So if you leave your country, this is immigration. And the person who leaves his or her country is called by his country or her country an immigrant. And the verb of this is to immigrate. So as I told you, you have to be careful about the spelling. Immigration is written with double M, and immigration is written only with one M. So we have some other vocabularies related to the topic of immigration, like a foreigner, a refugee, humanitarian aid, and migration itself, to migrate. And we also have the concept of emigration, which is the fact of leaving a place, your country, for another country. And the person who does this action will be called an immigrant, and the verb is to emigrate. So be careful here. The word immigration, immigrant, and to immigrate are all written with double M, while immigration and immigrant and the verb to immigrate are written with only one M. So yes, here I have a list of vocabularies related to the topic of immigration, and at the end of the lesson I'll be able to pass this on to you. They are about the causes of immigration, the consequences of immigration too. Some well-known causes of immigration, as we've talked about during our last class, is about cultural reasons. In some cultures, people really migrate a lot. Like in the region of Kai, for example, immigration, we could say, is part of the culture of this place. We have war and instability, poverty in general, and some people are just in search of a better education or a better life. We have diseases and employment, you know, and some really want to make a fresh start. Drought also, if it doesn't rain a lot, and people are suffering from drought and famine, this can also be a cause of immigration. I have here a lot of vocabularies for you related to the topic of immigration in general. We have a refugee status, le statut de réfugié, and then in the same line we have a political refugee, and un réfugié politique, and economic refugee, and réfugié économique. Human rights, which is about les droits humains, an illegal alien, un étranger illégal, a border, une frontière. So right here I have a list of vocabulary related to the topic of immigration that I will pass on to you later. Some famous, or well-known causes of immigration are cultural reasons. In some culture, people really migrate a lot. War and instability, poverty. Some other people are in search of better education, diseases, and employment. So we've talked about all those causes. And some consequences of immigration. You meet with your friend who just came back from the United States, and you want some information on how yourself you can go there. How do you ask this question in English? Can you walk in your groups for some minutes to see, and each group will give me one correct answer, one answer, okay? Doing good. How do you say this? Yes, you, class monitor.
I would like to have some information about how to go to the USA.
How to go to the USA. Okay. And then, if you are the friend who is asked, how can you answer this question? Yes, you there?
You must go to the U.S. Embassy to apply for the visa.
To apply for the visa. So, in your groups, use your dictionaries to find the meaning of the following word and expression highlighted in the text that I gave you. All right? But if you can do this as a homework. So you read the text and then answer the comprehension questions asked about the text. And the function here is that you want to ask your friend who just returned from the United States some information about how to go there and about his experience there. What do you say to your friend and how can he reply? And you have to read the text again and find expressions of quantity. Then next time I think we will cover the remaining points. Thank you very much.